Hola, ¿cómo están? Again, in this video, we're going to see the imperatives in the imperative, but direct object and indirect object, okay? Remember to subscribe to my channel first. We're gonna just dive right in. We saw in the previous video, that the imperatives, we saw the grammar, and then we also saw that we need the shorter version. Remember, we need the shorter version. For example, if I'm gonna ask you for if I'm gonna give you an order or a suggestion, for example, don't do your homework, like an order, don't do your homework, then it's like, don't do it, right, in English. So, and in Spanish should be what? No la hagas, right? No la hagas. So that's what we're gonna do right now, how you say the shorter version, or no la hagas. And for that I mentioned, and I'm gonna add it in this video, and that you have to really know the direct object and indirect object, okay? Because if not, it will be difficult. In this video, I'm gonna just do like a quick review of direct object and indirect object, because it's not the target of the class to see those pronouns in here, but I'm gonna give you like an idea of it. So, okay, let's start. So let's see the review of direct object and indirect object, like I was mentioning. First of all, María cocina un pollo para Juan. So remember how you make shorter. I'm just gonna make actually another file for you, and a new one, because I want you to have it in different. I'm gonna send these notes as well, guys, so you can have these notes for the class too. You have to just click the link below. So this is the imperativo, objeto directo y objeto indirecto. So, por ejemplo, objeto directo e indirecto. So, por ejemplo, Juan cocina un pollo para María. This is the regular one that I always do to be very easy. So indirect object and indirect object, you need to know the order on how you convert and you make it shorter, and you need to know the table of conversion, or tabla de conversión, which is this one, and I will show you why. Entonces, and also you have to ask yourself these questions. So remember, who does the action, which will be el sujeto de la oración, then which is the verb, then what about the verb, and then to whom. To whom always is the indirect object, and what about the verb is always the direct object. So el verbo in this case is cocina, and then who, Juan, and how you can make Juan shorter, el. So now, what does he cook? Un pollo. So remember that we say un pollo is a thing, right? It's direct object, and it's it. And is it feminine or masculine? Masculine. Very good. So let's look at the table of conversion. So it's direct object, which we're talking about, is it, is a thing, and it's singular. So be lo, right? So that's how we're gonna replace it. So be un pollo, and then you can make it shorter, it. So be in English is it, and lo is en español. And then to whom, para María, for María. So let's see the para María, to whom is the indirect object, which would be para María, for her is le. So para María, María es le. So, and now let's do the order. It was sujeto, objeto indirecto, objeto directo, y verbo. So, sujeto was él, objeto indirecto es le, objeto directo lo, y verbo es cocina. Okay. So, remember, we cannot have le, lo together, les, la, la. It sounds like hard to say, so you have to replace the le for the se. So, but only the indirect object. That's why you have se lo, only for the indirect object. And also les is replaced for se. Let's say it's les to them, so it's le lo, so we se lo cocina. So it's always like se. So in this case, then, is él se lo cocina. Let's do another shorter one to practice. Ella cocina un pollo para mí. So you have all this is the same. Now, Juan is the same, who cooks. Cocina, yes, is the verb. Que cocina still cooks un pollo, so es lo, but to whom in this case is para mí. So for me, in indirect object, you're gonna replace for me in indirect object would be me. So in this case it's me, and let's follow the order. So él me lo cocina. This is the order, sujeto. Okay, so being said that, that's kind of a small review of this. Now we have to use it in el imperfect, en el imperativo. So, the catch with the imperativo is that in the imperative affirmative, so let's say now this example that I put, saca las manos de la bolsa. Take out your hands from the bag, for example. Okay, so you have to do the same thing you can do if you want to, but I will show you something. The order in the imperative affirmative is gonna be a little bit different. So saca is the verb, what, las manos from the bag, but there's not to whom, there's nothing, right? And who does the verb? And tú, because tú saca. Who is the subject? El sujeto es tú. Sujeto, tú. Okay. So generally you put las manos, remember, is direct object. So you go here in the table of conversion, and it's las manos is an object, and it's it, but in plural, so be las. Okay. So las is the shorter version. But instead of putting las saca, okay, instead of putting before, in the imperative affirmative is always the direct and indirect object goes at the end. So it's sácalas, okay? Have you ever heard of dímelo, tell to me? It goes at the end, the stuff. So let's do that one. This, por ejemplo, let's do one that it has both of them. Por ejemplo, first affirmative I want. Vamos a hacer otro. Por ejemplo, that one that we were doing. Cocina un pollo para Juan. The one that we were doing. So, cocina un pollo para Juan. Okay. So, how we do this shorter means cook a chicken for Juan. Let's say is my order. So, is the whole thing, this is all the same, right? Except del sujeto es tú, because es tú cocina. El verbo es cocina en imperative, right? Tú cocina. What un pollo, so below, this is the same thing. Para María es le, so you're gonna have to change it for se because you have the two L's together here. Now, you have to put, you see, do you remember the order was se lo cocina? But in this case, in the imperative affirmative, you're gonna have to put the celo at the end. So this will change to cocínaselo. Cook it for him. I mean, cook it for him. You see, cocínaselo. Por ejemplo, dímelo. Remember, o dime la, di la verdad. Di comes from the seed, okay? It was irregular. So, di la verdad a tu papá, let's say. Okay. Entonces, who es en tú. Who es el sujeto? Tú. Di la verdad. Verb, di. What? La verdad. So we're going to replace it for la, indirect object. To whom? A tu papá, which will be le. And remember, every time we have these two together, we will have to put se. Always, anyways, goes indirect object first and direct object. So, se, la. In a regular verb, in a verb that is not imperative, it would be se, la, di, right? Pero no. This is imperative. So, you have to put these two guys, dísela, at the end. So, it's dísela. Tell it to him. Dísela. Dísela. Okay? Dísela. Dile la verdad. o dile la verdad, dísela. So now, in the negatives, you don't have to do this. In the negatives, follows the same order than the other verbs. So, por ejemplo, no hagas la tarea, no sé, instead of ahora, I want to put, no hagas la tarea por tu amigo, whatever. So, in this case, it goes the same thing. Hagas is an imperative, so who is to, verb hagas. The negatives, guys, the negations always go first in the order. Then go sujeto, objeto indirecto, objeto directo, y verbo. So, what? La tarea. So, how you make it shorter? La, correct. And then, to whom? To, for his friend. Por tu amigo. So, be le. So, se. Porque le, la cannot go together, so you have to put se. Like as I repeat, I'm doing this fast because I'm counting that you do it you check the other class where I explain this better. So you put no se la hagas. You see, in this case, follow the same order. So for you kind of exercises, guys, what I can do, I generally give homework for this, but you can do these examples that I show to my students generally to practice this stuff, right? So what I tell my students is to, for example, translate these phrases. Frases frescas y sassy phrases. Las frases frescas. So for example, then you can do the rest at home. But let's do this one. Can you please translate for me? Don't say that anymore. How you say that in Espanol? Okay, if you say no digas más eso, you are correct. See, don't say that anymore. So it's like, what is it? It's an order, so don't say that anymore. So how do you make this shorter? No, lo, right? Eso is lo, digas más. That's shorter. And let's say, I mean, you have other examples, but let's see. Don't talk to me anymore. And don't hurt me. Go there and tell her something. Give it to him yourself. Let's see. This is this case. Give it to him yourself. Yourself, if you want to know in Spanish how you say, es tú mismo. Okay? It's yourself. So give it to him yourself means da eso a él tú mismo. And the way you make it shorter is dáselo tú mismo. Why? Because the verb, so if we go, it has to go at the end. In this case, it didn't go at the end because it's a negative in imperative, but in this case, so you have, sorry, I need the verb. Giving to him yourself. Don't say that anymore. And sorry, this one it was. So in this case, is like who is to, verb dar, o sea, da, objeto directo, dáselo, so give it, eso, to whom, to him, so in this case is a él, so be le, lo, so that's why I changed se, and here that's why you have to put da, selo goes at the end, dáselo tú mismo, give it to him yourself. Okay guys, so I hope this is helpful. When you translate those in the homework that I'm gonna give you in the link, when you translate that, you realize that that's how we use it like in real life, okay? Also, sorry, before I leave, there's another exercise that I'm gonna do too with you, but then you will have to practice with a language partner or with someone. And this is another way that you use the imperative, and it's very, very common. So for example, to give suggestions or to give advice to someone. So for example, estoy ahorrando dinero para ir de vacaciones. So meaning I'm saving money to go on vacations. Where do you think I can go? ¿Dónde te parece que puedo ir? So use the verb ir, for example. So what I would say is ve a México, you see, for example. That would be like a suggestion that I would give. O por ejemplo, let's say, no encuentro mis lentes. So we can practice the direct object and indirect object. No encuentro mis lentes. Oh, búscalos mejor. Search for them better, you know. Búscalos mejor. You see, that's an advice. That's not an order. Or for example, no nos traen la comida hace una hora. They don't bring us the food 1 hour. So you can say, no seas impaciente. Don't be impatient, you know. So that you see how important it is that you first do the direct object and indirect object by yourself, and then when you do this exercise with someone, you have to do it at the moment. You see, you have to just come up at the moment with the answer, like, or with the advice. For example, if I have this problem, for example, me duele mi estómago. My stomach hurts. Me duele mi estómago. You can say, toma medicina, or vete a dormir, ve a descansar, or something. Okay? Okay. So now, yes, I hope this is helpful. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I love you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.